We wanted to find a crowdfunding company that willing to, let's say, try this journey to insert their product inside our app.
Right.
And of course, we found a lot of enthusiasm on Seedrs, so here we are.
We found a novel, very good guys to work with.
Yeah.
We had a very good initial meeting when we actually met Simone for the first time. I think we are very aligned in, building something that hasn't been built before and really proving that this can work.
Today I'm joined by Ricardo Brízido, CTO at Seedrs, and Simone Marzola, CTO over at Oval Money. Welcome both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here today, especially so recent to the announcement. So it's absolute gold dust, so it really is great to have you on board. So first of all, can you just tell us a little bit about your companies and what they do? So we'll start with Seedrs.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for hosting us.
No worries at all.
So Seedrs is a private equity marketplace. So as a marketplace, we have two main sides. So we allow companies from a very early stage up to pre-IPO to raise capital in exchange for equity.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the marketplace, we allow anyone, everyday investor to institutions to invest from £10 up to millions of pounds into this early stage.
Okay, great.
That's what we do.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And Simone, what about you? At Oval Money, what happens there?
Well, Oval Money is a mobile app that allows our user to set aside savings and then invest them in our, let's say, marketplace of financial products automatically and on a recurring basis.
Okay,
That's
great.
very much it.
Okay, fantastic. And so with both of these companies, how does the product and design team look like?
Oh, well, the product and design team, I think that we used a different approach of most of the company I know. So we built like a bunch of business units. So I think that what I can say is that all the people that works on our company is a product guy.
Okay,
so we inside each business unit we have designers, developers, marketing guys, support team guys.
Sure.
So what I love to say is that we hire product people, product engineers.
Right. Okay, great. And what kind of size are we looking at there?
We are 54 right now.
Okay, great. And over at Seedrs?
Yeah, very, very similar. So I think my CPO normally says the CTO is a product guy as well, and we hire those kind of people. The technology is just there to satisfy customer need. That's what we are here for. And at Seedrs we build teams around our customers. So we have, for example, a team for investors, and those guys really know exactly what our investor needs and how to fulfill a journey. Conversely, we have a team for entrepreneurs as well, and those guys are specialists in knowing what entrepreneurs want.
Sure.
And then we have some other teams that are a bit more, I would say, deep into the platform, integrating new products and services, developing the core of the platform, and those are probably less exposed to the end consumer, but still are. We hire. I think I agree with you, Simon. We hire product people.
Right. Yeah. And in terms of target demographics, what are you going for there at Oval Money?
We love to say that we are targeting millennials, but actually we are targeting all the users that needs a little bit of guide on their financial decision,
Okay.
So
it's not just restricted to the younger generation.
No, it's quite broad. Yes.
Yeah. And at Seedrs?
Yeah, at Seedrs you can look at customers from the two sides of the marketplace. Let's start with entrepreneurs. I think when Seedrs started, we used to, get companies to raise, let's say, 50K, 100K.
Yeah.
And what we've seen is really a maturing in the market, and we see companies raising millions, like Oval raised a few millions in Seedrs as part of a bigger round as well. And we see that movement. So I think I could describe any company from seed to pre-IPO could raise on Seedrs. From the investor side, we have different types of customers. You get the people that are passionate about the brand they are investing in. I think, if I think about some of the Oval users, they are definitely passionate and follow the brand. But also investors that are a bit more serious, they do their research, maybe they're trying to diversify and see potentially better returns than what they are observing on public marketplaces like stock exchanges.
Yeah.
And they see Seedrs as a relatively efficient way to invest and diversify their investment.
Yeah, okay, great. And so have you kind of adapted the product based on the kind of customers and investors you've had?
Yeah, I think that's that's the challenge, right? Sure. That's the there's no recipe there. That's the constant challenge. We need to look at the market, see the trends. We definitely need to satisfy the people that want to invest very little money. That I think the investment is more like to support the companies.
Okay.
But also we need to support maybe bigger ticket size, let's say, and eventually institutions to invest through our platform. But we see ourselves as aiming for these different types of customers.
Right. Yeah. And Simone, how's the reaction been to the product so far?
Oh well, it's really good. I think we definitely found a need that people have.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of engagement, a lot of engaged users in our app. So it's going really well.
Yeah.
Either in terms of active users, so our users are really active on our app, so they always open the app and look at how their investments are going, and also on the as Ricardo said, on the brand. So they're really fanatic about the brand. They want our merchandise, so it's going well. Yeah.
I saw that on your website that 350,000 people have onboarded, so that's really good.
Yeah.
Great. And can you just tell me a little bit about what led to this partnership? How did that start, and how did it go on?
Yeah.
Well, I'll start. We are looking to a new asset class to insert in our app. So, and we think that crowdfunding was a good, let's say, proposition for our users. And so we wanted to find a crowdfunding company that willing to, let's say, try this journey to insert their product inside our app.
Right.
And of course, we found a lot of enthusiasm on Seedrs, so here we are.
Yeah.
And were you very open to the idea?
Yeah, look, let me give our perspective as well.
Yeah.
I believe that Seedrs up to this point have been like a destination website.
Right.
But there's no reason why we cannot expand beyond that, and I think that's pretty much the strategy that we are following. We found a novel, very good guys to work with.
Yeah.
We had a very good initial meeting when we actually met Simone for the first time. I think we are very aligned in, building something that hasn't been built before and really proving that this can work. And, it's one of those cases that it's great that it was their campaign going through in the first, because we could really get these teams that we just spoke about working together, We spent a lot of time, I guess, together virtually. Oval has a team in Italy. We have a team in Portugal. We spend a lot of time in video calls. But it was really about that opportunity to think about the asset class of investing in early stage a bit more open, inserting it into other fintechs. And I think that was a great opportunity for us, and I think for you guys as well.
Yeah, it looks to be working out very well. And so who was it that first reached out, or was it kind of a mutual thing that happened to align?
I think I'm not sure, but I think, do you know?
No, I think it was like, it was mutual, I think.
Yeah.
After a conjunction.
Yeah, I think Oval were trying to raise, and I think we were one of the options. And I think what we really were trying to do when we sat in that meeting is, what are your customer needs and problems?
Yeah.
And I think what Simone described was, it would be really good if they can just invest through our app. We don't need to leave to your website to invest.
Absolutely.
And I think Seedrs, from that perspective, I think we are happy to sit on the background in some occasions, and this is one of those occasions where we can just facilitate that output and actually provide a very good customer journey for Oval customers.
Yeah, and for us it was not only just money raised, but also a validation of our business model. So.
Okay, great. So both of you are CTOs. Can you tell us about the process of building this API integration?
I can start. Yeah, so we looked at, I think, again, going back to the first principle, starting with the customer needs. We knew we had some assumptions that if a customer was to invest on through their app without leaving, that would yield a very high conversion rate. And I think if you start with that customer needs and potentially, you start thinking about journeys, you can then deconstruct and actually have the design of the API follow the customer journey rather having a very rigid set from the get-go. And I think we built this API to satisfy the customer needs, and I think we now can see how we can expand that. But that has been, again, a approach to thinking customer first and ultimately making Oval successful on their crowdfunding raise.
Right. Was it a kind of collaborative effort? Was there a lot of communication?
Yes, there was a lot of communication. There was a really nice journey.
Yeah.
Yes. On the technical side, I think I can have just only positive words on
right. And do you think that's down to just a good kind of communication and rapport between the teams? Or do you think it's just because the technology happened to work?
I think that it's both. I think yes.
Yeah, both. I think we could. I remember when I had like kind of these even mock-ups that we've put together what the journey could look like, and I think what Oval did is took that, which was a very functional approach, to something that belongs to them and belongs to their journey.
Yeah.
It's about the steps that the user needs to take. As users to onboard on a platform need to go through quite, I would say, high hurdles like verify identity, set up an account, things like that. And we were trying minimizing that burden for the user.
Right. Yeah.
Just by leveraging on data, like just getting data flow through both platforms, that would potentially yield a very smooth journey.
Yeah. And just one final one on this one. How versatile is this API? Could it be used on other platforms now that you built it, or is it, as you said earlier, is it very tailored to a certain journey?
Yeah. Look, we chose Oval to pioneer this, and we want to go in this journey. I think there's a lot to explore. I think we discuss this often. Yeah. There's a lot to explore there, and we see, again, the deal flow of Seedrs eventually flowing more frequently to the Oval, and actually for the Oval customers having a better option. I think for Seedrs, and I'm going to talk about Seedrs in this case, I think we will see us partnering potentially with other markets, fintechs. And there's no reason why, let's say, from your home banking, you cannot invest on the next startup.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vision. Again, it's about Seedrs being a bit more open to the ecosystem rather than it is at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we're going to take a look at the onboarding now. Right. So you can just both look at my screen here.
Yeah.
And just playing that now. So we've got a nice introductory carousel there, which just explains the proposition with some graphics as well. And the Start Now CTA then becomes active. A few checkboxes there. Optional promotion code. Nice to see a progress indicator there at the top. And now phone number with the country drop-down. Verification code now. A nice branded loading animation. Email now. So these steps have been broken down screen by screen, which makes it more digestible. And again, we've got our code there. Email comes through very quickly. And we confirm our PIN now. Face ID can be enabled, as can notifications. A few more KYC steps there. Inbuilt date picker, which is very nice. And that confirming can speed up the process as well. Some suggested addresses. Opting for driving license there. Some basic instructions, and now powered by Onfido, we take a photo. Error state there. And this time it works, and now it's back with the driver's license. And now a selfie video, and there's a nice video there just explaining how that's done. Again, powered by Onfido. say each digit out loud. And we get a nice confirmation tick there. And we're through. And that's the post-login dashboard. So that was a very nice process indeed. It was very kind of unique, but also very interesting. I've not seen a lot like that before, but I really like what we see there. It's really great. One of the more smooth and efficient onboarding experiences. So well done there. That's really good.
That sounds doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually spent a lot of time, a lot of iteration of the onboarding because you know we are opening let's say a bank account.
Yeah.
So it's not easy to do by the user perspective. So we needed to stream down.
Yeah, and it's very smooth. It gets everything you need, and the way it's broken down it's really nice and smooth. So hats off there.
Okay, thank you.
And so you opted for Onfido.
Yeah.
Is there a reason behind that? We see that very often.
Yeah, I think that they're really good at at let's say the technology behind the KYC. So yes, the reason is mainly that you know they're really good on identifying also the data on the document. So it's
okay, cool.
They're good.
Yeah. So I noticed there's the audio one. You have to say something out loud. Is that something that is now required? Or is that something that you opt for the additional security?
No, it's our compliance actually that asked for it because we needed to, let's say, verify that the user is alive. It's not a, let's say, picture of mock-up of the user.
Yeah. Yeah. So during the onboarding, there's not much asked about personal financial information. Was there a reason behind that decision?
Well, it's actually a choice because this kind of question we are going to ask on when the user opts to invest.
Yeah.
So it's again a choice to, let's say, make the onboarding easier.
Yeah.
And then when you are in the app, maybe you can choose to invest because, you know, there's content that you want to try, and then we ask the questions.
I see. Yeah.
So it's that after.
And is that something that you initially had on the onboarding, and then you decided?
No. Actually, it's a choice that we made from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it certainly speeds up the process. So that's good. Yeah. I saw a lot about overall pay.
Yeah.
And it's newer, but there's nothing to do in a similar way that's not in the onboarding experience. Why is that?
Currently overall pay is available only in Italy. So that's why.
Okay, I see.
If you are based in Italy, if you are an Italian resident, in the onboarding you will have the bifurcation, so you can choose also to have the card.
Oh, okay. And how has that affected the onboarding, in your opinion? Has that slowed it down a lot? Or?
Not the card per se, but I think that we added a lot more, let's say, compliance verification on the onboarding. So it's affecting a little bit onboarding, but of course we are working on it. So.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So we're going to move on to the investing journey now. Some different options to automatically invest, and confirming via PIN or Face ID, and we get a nice push notification there at the top. Some information there on the risk level and the mission. And increasing the investment here, and a summary of the order, and again using PIN or Face ID to confirm. And that's, again, we're seeing that push notification at the top in another very smooth journey. So well done there as well. So a lot of the kind of different investments there were quite ethically based. Is there a reason behind that?
Well, I think that when you talk to, let's say, uneducated financial people, you have to tell them a story.
Yeah.
And I think that when you try to sell them, sorry, it's not sell, it's not the right term, but when you try to let them invest in a product, I think that you have to offer them something they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we are offering a lot of ethical products.
See. And so is that something that you found with your user base, that they are interested in this kind of thing?
Yeah.
This is what gets them engaged?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I see. That's encouraging. And how do you pull these products together? How are they formed? Is there a team behind it, or?
Yes, of course. We have a product team inside, and then also we talk a lot with our product issues, because the product that we have in our platform are built exclusively for us. So the process is, we want to build a product based on, let's say, water. So how can we do it? And then
right. And there's a lot of tooltips and explanatory text throughout. Is that to kind of align with your user base more?
Yes, it is, because as I said, it's a user base that we are targeting a user base that is not really educated on financial services. So yes.
Okay, great. So now we're going to move on to crowdfunding, which is where the API lies. And I'm playing it now. So we're going through to Oval Money, and there's some explanation about what happens now. 2 checkboxes there, and some personal information. And now through multiple choice, there's a quiz of sorts, and there's a tooltip there at the top. Notice the CTA becomes active only when an element's been pressed. And we get a nice confirmation tick there. And we're seeing that branded loading animation again. A map there and some further information. The initial investment is added. And confirming by a PIN this time. And a push notification there at the top. And the email comes through. And we can very quickly increase the investment, again via PIN. So that was another very quick journey. So was that done, as you said, in collaboration?
Yeah.
And both your design teams will be working together on that one?
Yeah, I think design-wise, I think again, Oval, I think was in control. It's their product.
Yeah.
We are happy to sit on the background. Of course, our role here is also to advise. We do a lot of crowdfunding campaigns, and we know what works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
And we were able to advise, and I think it was a collaborative effort, but I think mainly driven by Oval, especially on the, I guess, UX UI part.
Yeah. Okay, great. So. On your with the questions asked there, because I noticed that they're on the desktop version as well.
Yes.
When you're, is that a requirement that's brought about by law, or is that something that you push for?
So Seedrs is regulated by the FCA. There's strict rules around basically onboarding investors in general. So I guess to your comment previously, do we know how much people, earn, etc., and what are the risks? There are risks associated with investing in early stage, in particular, and this is in our regulatory, environment. We will need to ask those questions.
Right. Yeah.
And depending if you are an everyday investor, or if you're not, we will guide you through other funnels. One of our challenges is how we're going to onboard the user that has not been asked those questions when they signed up to Oval, but now we need to ask them those questions because they're investing in a crowdfunding campaign. Yeah. And that was part of the dynamic and the APIs and the discussion.
Yeah. And then once a user's gone through that flow, using the Oval app, are they now registered on Seedrs and can log in and just?
Yes. So they are registered. They're a valid registered user. One important characteristic of this campaign is this campaign was working simultaneously in the Oval app and in our platform.
Yeah.
And let's say everyone was contributing to the same campaign in terms of I guess, the lump sum that we were accumulating. If you think about all the post-investment experience, even eventually issuing share certificates that one belongs on the Seedrs app, and what we wanted to do is make it explicit that users are actually signing up to Seedrs, but doing that in a very smooth journey, so they don't need to fill all the data again, like things that the Oval user already has answered. Is typically the same information that we need to set up an account. As long as we make that clear to the user, that is a very smooth journey. People don't need to do KYC twice, don't need to input their address twice. And eventually just, the creation of the account happens on the background. And we are happy to keep it like that.
And then have you seen people engage with the platform on desktop, for example, after?
Yeah, I think we're going to see more on the post-investment as Oval progresses on their journey. It's expected that they basically update their shareholders. We definitely will see people coming back for that purpose. I think people will come back to discuss the business. We also have a discussion forum. But this is something me and Simone have been discussing, is eventually those discussions will also happen on the app, so it's a more integrated journey for their users.
Sure. And is there any insights you can bring to on a more technical level that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is when we designed this journey was mainly around three main objects in terms of, I'm going to talk a bit more technical now. There was definitely a part of it that is everything that has to do with the campaign information. So we wanted the campaign information to be the same in our platform, in Oval's app. So actually, when you open the Oval campaign on the app, you are basically calling an API to Seedrs and getting that campaign information in real time. And then there's the whole part that I would call it onboarding of a user. And this is about getting the journey on the Oval app to fill the gaps of the data that is missing. Let's say if they have a KYC user, that's great, they can send that information to us and we can rely on their KYC. So there's that user component. And ultimately there's the investment decision. So how much are you investing? And when are you investing? Are you topping up or are you not topping up? Those kind of, so there's, if I could recap, campaigns, onboarding and investments. Those are the three main underlying objects that power this journey.
Okay, great. And having now made this great API, have there been any kind of learning points now that you've developed it all?
I'm sure there are. I mean, I think for me the big learning is it seems very, out of the bat, technically it seems very straightforward. I think there's, in a regulated environment like where we are operating, there's a lot of detail in the compliance, in the way you present information. That's a big learning. And I think, again, the learning is when two teams are synced and can work together, we can actually build great things. That's what I learned. And I think sometimes you need to partner to augment your value. And, I think there was a win-win for both companies here by partnering and providing this customer experience.
So do you pick the different Seedrs offers on there, the different investments on there?
Well, it's a discussion that we have in place. I think that, of course, we are not going to offer all the Seedrs portfolio, but I think that we are going to choose together the opportunities that we are going to put on our platform.
Potentially, I think there's a few options there. We could curate, certain deals that fit more the type of customer Oval has. I think we could also, we've done a product that we can package, so you can, with a single investment decision, invest in a what we call like an index or a fund that is a basket of startups. And I think this is something that we are discussing this year for sure, and we would like to see this happening and offering see that offer on the Oval app.
So it was obviously a very good move to put Oval Money as the first way to invest using that API. How successful was that? Did you see a decent rise from that?
Yeah, it was a huge success because the numbers, of course, speak by themselves. But I think that the most important number is that we reached more than 2,000 users, 2,000 investors in in the campaign. It's a huge number for crowdfunding campaign. So yes, of course, we are very happy for the results.
Yeah. And were you on Seedrs before, on the normal platform?
No.
So it kind of launched in combination. Okay, great. In terms of where you kind of see things going, I know you mentioned how this you could potentially see APIs going elsewhere in other platforms. How do you see the future unraveling with regard to this discussion and the context?
Yeah, I mean, I think what became, I can't remember exactly when we started speaking, what became like a summer conversation or a casual 45-minute meeting became I guess, in Seedrs have been very galvanizing to the team to see through. I think we can see a lot of value. It's one of the first in the industry that we've done that, so there's a lot of value there. I think 2020, this year, I think it's going to be good to expand that capability and I think partner more and more deeply, let's say. Where we've just done this, I could call it Pilot Plus.
Right,
And I think we want to go beyond that.
Yeah. Well, it certainly seems to be a very successful pilot. So congratulations to you both on that one. And for Oval Money, where do you see the...
we learned a lot with Seedrs integration. And I think the most challenging part is that we need to, let's say, build a journey that is, let's say, consistent between different class of products. So I think that in the future we are going to expand a lot more with, again, different classes of products. So yes, I think it's a bright future. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of, are you going to try and maintain and harness that sort of less financially savvy audience and keep on working on that?
Yes. I think that's a huge market, you know, and
Great. And before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to comment or say before we finish things?
I enjoyed this interview.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much. That's it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Stop by next week for more insights and journeys. If you want to see more of 11FS Pulse, head over to Pulse at pulse@11fs.com, where you can also request a demo. If you've got any questions about the product or want to suggest a journey for us to include on our platform or the show, hit us up on pulse@11fs.com or find us on Twitter at 11fspulse. Simone, Ricardo, thank you so much to both of you. If people want to reach out to you guys and find you, is there any way they can do that on Twitter or something?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Ricardo Brízido on Twitter, so they can hit me up or I guess reach our website for sure.
Okay, great.
I'm sure someone can connect it.
Okay, great.
So I also have a Twitter account, of course.
Yeah.
Is Simone85, and you can use also our Twitter and also at Oval Money.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much, and we'll catch you next week.